Audience of two and hi mom. We're back with Positive Mischief. We're calling it season 2, and we're doing in-person DC related creatives. Our first guest is a good friend of mine, Steve Salvador. Steve is from APCO Worldwide. Steve, tell us about your position at APCO quickly, because we don't really care that much. We'll talk about creativity, and then we'll start there.
So I'm in the business of giving advice, but my advice is
He's good at that too.
yeah,
He's good at that too.
but advice that's actionable, and the actions that we take, that we help our clients to tell their story in a way that elicits change,
Positive feedback.
positive, yes. Yeah.
Positive mischief.
Positive mischief, when called for.
Yeah, it's funny. I always tell my friends, that you work for a PR firm, because I can't think of any other better way to describe it. So it's like PR and some ad agency. Like I can throw that one in there.
Yeah, but my background, as you know, is in video production. So I work part of an in-house creative team at APCO, and most of my work is focused on video storytelling. Trying to create some kind of story that will evoke a feeling.
So is your official title what? Creative director, director of video, awesome director?
So my title is Director of Video and Brand Programming.
So your job, and you've seen this podcast before, you know the question's coming.
Yeah.
How would you describe your job to a child? 5, 6, 7, 8 years old.
So I would actually go back to what I said. So I give advice, and my advice is all around how to tell better stories.
That's easy. That was easy. All of you former guests, that's right there.
Yeah.
Now, your kids, you have 2 daughters. If they heard the advice thing, they'd be like, yeah, that's dad. Or they'd be like, no, he's pretty chill.
I don't know if they would refer to me as chill all the time. Sometimes, I tend to be very thoughtful. Hopefully, hopefully that's how I'm perceived. Dad thinks a lot. Dad has a lot of opinions. Right. Dad wants to teach us a lot of things. Maybe it goes back to.
Most dads do that. We have lots of opinions. We think we know best.
Right, which I guess feeds into some of what I do and what we're kind of helping our clients to do. So I guess there's a connection point there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in the world that you're seeing today of helping clients tell better stories, we're seeing this all over LinkedIn. We're seeing it all over Facebook and Instagram and everything. How is AI working into that?
Well, AI is complicating things, I think. We're in, I think, the early stages of AI. There are a lot of ethical questions, considerations. There's, as you know, much talk about what AI, how AI will affect creativity, who it's going to replace. We very much are, in the, mindset of, how can we use this to do our jobs better?
I think that's where you have to be.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's where you have to be. I mean, if you're going to be afraid of it, then I don't feel like you're confident in what you're trying to do. There's so much potential there, and look, there are going to be jobs that get eliminated because of it. Who knows why? But it's just got to be another tool.
Yeah.
I don't know that I see it any other way. It's not going to make a movie for us from scratch. You can't just be like, make a whole movie for me. I just don't think it's going to be there. I think if brands adopt it full on, who was it that was just saying in 5 years? Altman was just saying in 5 years he thinks that 95% of the whole ad industry will be out of a job.
Yeah.
That seems. Look, 5 years, if that happens, I'll eat my words.
Yeah.
I'll eat this cup. Darth Vader will go down with the ship.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know that I see it happening. So it seems really weird to be so afraid of something. Why not try to use it? Are you guys sort of finding yourself in that same world?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think creative people should be fearful.
Oh, okay.
Look, I mean, there's a lot of fear and anxiety out there in the world, but I think our jobs as people that work in a creative space and use different kind of mediums to express themselves, that they should be really fearful of anything. If anything, you should be curious. And curiosity is
I completely agree.
a lot more valuable in the long term than fear.
Completely agree with that. Yeah, and I feel like there's something to. I think that's what makes a creative a good creative, is being always curious, like always wanting to find out what's on the other side of that rainbow.
Right.
It's the question that we ask at Hugo's, like, well, why not? Like, that's my old boss at CNN, who you know well, like, just got bothered with me because I always ask why not. And he finally goes, you know what? Show me you can do it, and I'll let you do it. So I try it.
Right.
But I just think that's part of what makes a good creative, is being curious and not being afraid. I mean, like, you see bad creative go out there all the time, and you can tell someone's a little bit afraid.
Yeah, right. And our clients can be fearful, and for good reason.
So how do you help them through that? Do you guys have, like, how does Steve help them through that, and maybe that this app could do something different? Like, what is your take on how you help a client not be afraid of something?
Yeah. Well,
This is a hard place to be.
that is a hard place to be. I think in my role at AppGo, it's taught me a lot about strategy and thinking very strategically about why it is you want to create really anything. I think everything should have a purpose. And I think the more that you can be very thoughtful before you actually start the creative process and ask the tough questions of, why are we making this, right? Who do we want to influence? Who do we want to educate? How are we going to measure our success? Questions like that.
Yeah.
If you ask those questions up front and you have an objective way by which you can measure success, then it kind of takes a little bit of the fear out, because I think there's the fear is the unknown, as esteemed Quinn Brown, one of the previous guests, talked about. Well,
I think the unknown keeps us on
that.
keeps us on edge. Allows us to keep our edge. Is that what's on the other side of that I don't know about, but I got to figure out what that is. To me, it's all part of the journey, the creative journey. And I think that the hardest part, I think, for what we do is getting people to buy into what we're trying to say, or to trust. Earning that trust in the first meeting is imperative, because that's sometimes all you get. You get one chance to get trust out of somebody, and then it's like, okay, now I can relax a little bit. I feel like these guys get me. And if you can get there, I just feel like there's something powerful to that.
Yeah.
I just wonder how something like AI is going to factor into that.
Yeah. Well, trust is one of the big concerns, I think, right? Is what's real and what's not real. That's a lot of the concern about AI now, especially if we're going into an election.
Oh my gosh.
Which, elections and AI, that's going to be messy. We have to work those things out, and there have to be some ways by which we are able to evaluate what's real and what's not, and that's going to be a process. And I do think that's going to be a messy process. But creativity can be a messy process.
Well, I think it should be a messy process in a fun, playful way.
Yeah,
I think it should be a messy process. I mean, I remember whiteboards in jobs past just being, drawing here and drawing there. I mean, look, our Figma board on our project right now is a disaster, but it's our disaster. We know where everything is, but I think that should be part of the process. It's like how we get through the mess and how we walk a client through the mess. I think it's all part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to have a job where I'm like neat and buttoned up all the time.
Yeah.
And unless it's my Photoshop files and my After Effects files, then those have to be neat and tidy.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. That's why I love when we get a chance to work together, because you still keep the fun and the lightheartedness. I think you have to have. You can't take yourself too seriously.
You can't. Well, that's what this whole podcast is about. Positive mischief thing. It's like, you got to be able to play. You gotta have some moments where you're just in your own seat. It's funny. My daughter, when she comes home from school, there's a little bit of quiet, but she gets to play by herself. And after being in school all day with however many other kids are in class, noise, a couple of teachers here and there, to just come home and have some time alone to play, to just let the mind decompress, to take all the stress out. I think adults need that too. Creatives need that. And so to carve out a little time in your day to write, to draw, to design, to just play in quiet, I think is so important.
So important.
Yeah.
And I think as parents, which there's no social media yet, right?
No, not for a while.
Yeah. Good. I think parents are concerned. A lot of people are concerned about, especially young people, having that space with fewer distractions, the ability to have that time to be imaginative and curious, like you said. There are a lot of distractions. There are more distractions now in our world.
Zoom meetings and real meetings and meetings on top of meetings and email meetings.
Right. So many meetings.
Everybody wants your attention.
So many meetings.
So do you have a spot on your calendar where it's set up for just Steve time?
I do. I don't have to put it on my calendar because it's so early. So I have become a morning person in my adult life. I was not always a morning person, but I have become a morning person. And I would recommend to most people, unless mornings are not your thing and you try it.
They're not my thing. But I'll work on it.
But
they're not my thing.
Mornings are my protected kind of space. I tend to wake up pretty early and, try to use that quiet time, especially on the weekends. And it's even harder sometimes on the weekends, but the mornings are quiet. And the mornings, I think, allow you to take the time and reflect and take care of yourself. And it's that time is really hard to come by the later you get into your day, because things start to get more complicated and things start to interfere, and you might have had your calendar beautifully laid out. never all of the boxes, in perfect sequence with a little bit of space in between, and
those spaces go up real quick.
Right. Yeah. So I would protect mornings, or I protect my mornings as best I can.